I need my fix of dopamine, and this is the best way to do it. And with a little luck, we will get oodles of dopamine. And we're using a character that gives us extra choices, so we're gonna have lots to choose from. Unfortunately, none of this is good enough. We're starting over. This is the kind of thing we're looking for. Legendary quality right from the beginning. It's not the most useful to begin with, since it's simply one piercing, but the more piercing we can have absolutely pays dividends later. And we got another one, and a projectile bounce already. I don't think I've ever had a start like this. In order to actually bounce, it's got to go through the first enemy and hit the second. We're going to increase our critical hit damage by 75% because we know inevitably our crit damage is going to be, our crit chance will be 100. For now, we're mostly just going to go with the highest quality upgrade available. 2 dashes isn't going to hurt because dashes turn into other things down the road. Plus, they keep us alive somewhat. We got our first idiot with the health bars, so we'll see if we can go ahead and penetrate him thoroughly, get some bounces in. I definitely need a little bit of raw damage. We're hitting him, but we should be doing just a little more. And isn't this perfect? Damage is the equal of the highest quality upgrade, so we'll take that. So we're up to 75. One mini boss defeated. Oh, here's another legendary, and this is for the artifacts. Your next shot deals 2 times more damage and bursts into multiple projectiles. Reduces your attack speed by 30%. I can live with that for now. So that's going to happen every 8 seconds, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and wait for that. But we can also reduce the cooldown of that by 10%, so that's going to shave off 0.8 of a second on that. There it is, and it left the map. But it burst into projectiles down below. There it is. Ooh, and I get one more choice for each upgrade and object selection. So we're going to get extra choices. So that's going to leave us with lots of good options. I do somewhat miss my attack speed, but when that thing goes off, it does feel better. So many legendaries now, thanks to all these. I wonder how big we could make this. Now my brain's at work. Anyways, we're going to gain much more damage. We started at 60, we went to 75, and now we're at 105. So that is much better. Now the attack speed doesn't feel so bad. Just gas the roly-poly guy. We're going to go ahead and got him. We have some epic quality. Lightning hits a random enemy within an area around you every 0.5 seconds. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. That'll help keep us safe. Not a lot of high quality upgrades here. We'll maybe reduce the cooldowns by a further 10%. Look at all the legendaries. I've never had this much luck. So we're going to gain much more attack speed. We're at 1.33 per second. Now we're at 2 per second. That's a huge increase. That is 50%. If I make my AoE bigger too, it also help because we get more lightning strikes. For now, it's mostly going to keep us safe, and well, there's the AoE by 40%. Suddenly, we're somehow building something of a balanced build. It will get unbalanced at some point because I can't help myself. AoE effect going up by a further 30%, I guess. Maybe we could just lightning everyone to death eventually. That seems easier. I mean, the lightning can hit multiple enemies, clearly. Like, it's got a pretty big hitbox. I'm actually going to re-roll this because I think we can do better. Well, we'll take one more of these just so we get a little bit bigger AoE. You never know what's going to come in handy for this one. Well, lightning the tomato with legs. He should be dead. Permanently augments your damage by 30%. Reduces your attack speed by 20. That's perfectly fine. We don't need to attack a lot if we hit really hard. Especially with our current pierce and bounce and everything. Well, there's another bounce, so we'll take that. This will be better once there's more enemies on the board. Okay, I guess we're taking more AoE, 40%. We are already at 210, we are 250% bigger. So we just need lots of AoE type items. I mean, for now though, we can just run around and lightning everyone. That really works out well. Especially if its cooldown can be reduced, actually. We might be able to like super lightning idiots. We're currently at 73% of the cooldown. Now we're at 62%. So the lightning will go off 10% quicker. And it definitely feels like it is. It will go off almost constantly already. I don't really want any more health right now. I'm just planning on not getting hit, so we'll knock off another 10%. 55% cooldown, lightning even quicker. The lightning can also go off while I'm on the move, unlike my main weapon, so that's actually kind of to my advantage. We have a lot of hearts on the ground here, so I might sit here so I can be a little extra stupid. Then if we get hit, we can put the heart right back on. Another bounce. Yeah, okay. Now that we're getting more enemies on the map, the penetration should run out and they'll start bouncing around. And that's just more damage for us and more for the enemies to enjoy. I re-rolled this one. I don't really want more AoE right now. I probably want damage. We could use attack speed too, but 136 to 156 walked right into that. Here's a good one. Heal for 1 after you dash. Perfect. So we can heal ourselves. Our dashes do jump up to 30 seconds, but we're at 55% of that currently. So it's more in the neighborhood of a little over 15 seconds to recuperate that. And we'll turn that down even more. 47%. So it's less than 15 seconds to replenish a dash, therefore a heal. So we can get pretty creative with our build already. There's more cooldown, so I'm actually just going to keep stacking this for now. If the game's going to give us cooldown, we're going to take it. We're at 40% cooldown. There's no way I could possibly regret this ever. Whoops. So I want my health back, I dash. There's another 10%. So it's going to be diminishing returns, obviously, but we're at 36% cooldown. So our lightning's going off quickly. I think that's really the only thing it affects currently, other than dash. I guess our cactus shot too. Actually, that's going off quite often now that I look at it. It's got an 8-second cooldown, but it's down to almost a third of that. I don't know how this build is set up for bosses, but we're going to find out real soon. More cooldown, 33%. Alright, well, we're just going to try lightning this thing to death. We're going to have to stay pretty close to it, obviously, so that might get tricky. Luckily, we did spawn the boss in a place where there's going to be lots of hearts sitting on the ground. And as long as they're reasonably close to us, we can lightning them all. It's good AoE. Back to full health again. Yeah, it's so far not a great boss fighter, but it will get there. That much I'm sure of. Really, if I just made the lightning a little bit bigger, it would definitely help as well, because I got to get pretty close to the danger zone to be able to hurt things. Got him. Your projectiles bounce off the edge of the screen. That's exactly the kind of thing we need. With all of our piercing and bouncing, we're going to have a lot of projectiles out there now. Like, that's actually a stupidly strong upgrade right now. Like, that's too strong even for me. We're just going to have projectiles destroying everything for a while. So that also means even if we hit an enemy, the projectile goes through and bounces off again, or it will penetrate, burst, bounce. It will just stay on the screen for a long time. Well, when in doubt, cooldowns and abilities further 10%. We are under 30%, so we're less than 1/3 of the original cooldown time. Damage is starting to fall behind just a little. We had to shock that thing a lot. Here's one that's really dangerous, but also is really good for our synergy. Picking up a heart no longer heals you. However, you gain 3 base damage each time you pick up a heart. We can heal ourselves with dashes. So this can be raw damage for us, and we can heal ourselves in other ways. And I already got hit once, so we're off to a really good start. I think I'm going to take projectiles bounce more times because it's a legendary, so it makes the most sense. Okay, we're going to do that. Now our HP is back. There's a heart, so that's going to be 3 damage. So I'm now officially a heart farmer. That probably means we don't really need damage upgrades either, unless there happens to be a legendary one and no other good upgrades. There's cooldown and AoE. We're going to take AoE for now because we're 250, now we're at 280, so a bigger lightning thing. And this way we can also just kite the idiots around and they'll follow us taking damage. There's a few good ones here. Permanently raises your attack speed 40%, but half of your shots are less precise. That's fine, because even when we miss, our shots will still bounce off the edge of the screen and hit something inevitably. I know I left some hearts down here somewhere. I can't remember where we fought the bosses, and I might have eaten up a lot of the hearts there anyway. Not a lot of fun upgrades here. I guess we'll just take 5% crit chance out of all of that. That doubled our crit chance to 10%. I think the lightning can crit anyway, so that's not going to hurt anything at all. I'm going to stick to farming a little area around this dark spot in the ground. That way I know if I leave something behind that I just circle back around to it. I guess we're reducing our cooldowns even more. They're at just about 25%. So they're at 1/4 of the speed they're supposed to be. So fighting the Ninja Turtle, he's going down fairly quick. There's lots of lightning hitting him. Our damage could still be a lot better. We just need more raw damage. But that's where the hearts come in. I didn't like what we saw, so we're going to re-roll. I guess we'll take the legendary. Every time you move 2 meters, load your next shot with 2 more projectiles. That's going to also apply to the cactus balls as well, I think. Whatever the case, we're firing more projectiles. And more projectiles is more damage. And I don't know if my cooldowns affect that sort of thing, but if they do, that would be fantastic. Since these are all fairly weak choices, I'm going to take a little bit of attack speed, which in our case is actually quite a lot. Damage is creeping up there, though. It's up to 179. I just want more enemies. That's all I want. I want to be flooded by enemies right now. That way we can get lots of hearts. Okay, we did get one of these guys, so that will be some good chest after this. This is a good one. Permanently gain 10% attack speed every 120 seconds. That will reset if we take damage, but if we manage to not get hit for 360 seconds, we'll get 30% attack speed boost permanently. Here's also quite a big attack speed boost that we're going to take. We're at 1.76 now. We're at 2.09 per second now. That's going to help. Look at all those projectiles everywhere. Next upgrade, there's not a lot of great choices, so we'll take critical hit chance 7%, which puts us up to 17. So we'll round that up to 1 and 5 because that's how math works. Okay, we got the next boss coming in. We'll see if we can lightning it to death. If not, we'll have to use our projectiles. Oh, it's a high-speed boss, but if it follows us around, it will get lightning really bad. We can move around a little bit too, and our bouncing projectiles will hit it eventually anyway. We gotta stay close to really do most of our damage. This is going to be an interesting fight. I mean, to be fair, we have already done quite a bit of damage to it. Whoops. Okay, the hitbox is bigger than I thought. We're already taking some damage for sure, mostly due to me trying to just stay too close. It's got a bigger hitbox than it looks, and there's a lot of danger on the map. I don't even want to go near. We might just have to use our long-range projectiles mostly, which can be done. This is just a bad matchup for me, really. Now we got things under control. It is about dead. We're probably going to lightning it to death. Standing still gradually increases your attack speed until you move again. So if I hold still, we can just start spamming arrows in all directions. Given the amount of bounce and pierce they have and stuff, we're pretty much going to fill the screen with arrows for the time being, even with the slower attack speed. And it turns out the enemies that do manage to get a little bit close to me get lightninged really hard, so I'm pretty safe except for projectiles. Like this floating gentleman in the upper right might be a problem. I don't really want to move though, so I'm going to try not to. Well, that's going to be a problem. Alright, there's something with a sword. We're going to take a slight step over. Whoops, and you know what? We're okay. 15% cooldown reduction. I want it. So we're at 22% cooldown reduction. Every 12 dashes, you heal 1 health point. That might come in handy later if we need an extra heal. Because if we come out to a balance, that could be the difference maker every 12 dashes. With our cooldown, we can get away with that. I don't know if we're going to find ourselves in a particularly rare scenario, but at least we're set up for it. 40% AoE, so 280 to 320. My lightning is getting so big. I feel like I'm not getting a fair amount of hearts on the ground. I think we usually get more, which is very sad because we'd have a lot more damage. But we do have this gentleman who's going to chase us for a second. The lightning damage will whittle it down quickly, and I can do this on the run. Like, I'm at no risk of taking damage here. Here's another good one. Every 1 meter, deal 30% of your damage to enemies in area around you. So we're going to have lightning and earthquake. So we're doing double damage around us and in a real big area. And that's as we're moving. So the cooldown doesn't affect it, but we can stay moving and doing damage anyway thanks to our lightning. I know I said I wasn't going to take more damage, but I can't help it. This will take us from 199 to 240. So that is a big increase in damage. Next upgrade is going to be a lot more attack speed. 2.71 per second to, I don't know, 3.14 looks like. That thing is trying to get us, but we just AoE'd it to death. In an area of effect that makes 25% of enemies flee when they enter it. Fleeing enemies drop their coins behind them. Okay, that's easy for me. Now I'm even safer to just sit in my zone, and that AoE area is big. So 1/4 of enemies are going to leave. The other 3/4 are going to get lightninged and earthquaked. At this point in time, not many enemies are making it into the zone. We got a few coming in now at least. I finally had to move thanks to a projectile. There's a heart again finally. Haven't seen one of those in 4 years. Let's make our AoE even bigger. 360%. There we go. It's almost a full screen top to bottom. We can mostly just make a lot of enemies run away at this point. He runs faster as we go faster. Alright, so this thing's gonna chase us, which is stupid because we're just basically disintegrating it slowly. It is melting in acid as we're just leading it around. Well, this is gonna get stupider. Deal your raw damage as an AoE each time your projectiles inflict a critical strike. Which isn't gonna happen often, but when it does, that's a big AoE for everyone to enjoy. We'll gain some more damage now too, 272. We'll try and add some crit chance when we can. We do have a respectable 17% right now, so there will be crits going off. Their AoE is so big that like that's gonna make a difference, especially as we eventually actually start getting some hearts to drop and some damage and enemies on the screen. We have the sheriffing coming now. We have all of our dashes currently, so we'll go ahead and hit this with all of our AoE. Get out of the way of its AoE. Yeah, our damage definitely caught up because we are melting this thing, and then I'm not even using my projectiles right now. I guess we should be firing those because they will get bouncing, so they will probably hit twice. Yeah, you really see the HP drop once the projectiles start flying. Now we're into phase 2, which really shouldn't be a problem, especially if I can sit close, which I'm going to try to do because I'm too lazy to do anything else. We'll just dodge the balls a little bit, and yeah, right about here. Actually, this is the perfect spot to sit because we can just sit here and absolutely melt this thing. It's got a lot more health than I thought. It's only down to 3/4 health already, but we'll get there. Gonna put some HP back on. I might as well stay down 1 dash the entire time because that way we can always be regenerating 1. That's super efficient like I always am. This part's a little tricky because I do have to stay close, and that makes it a little bit hard to avoid its bullets. But I guess we can move and use our earthquake thing too. I'm not sure what does more damage. Actually, probably our lightning. I think our lightning's going to be our best bet. So we just want to stay in range. And that shows because it's down to about 0% HP. After moving for a while, you shoot a slow, intangible projectile. Lightning hits a random enemy within its area every 0.5 seconds. Our cooldown may also affect that. I'm not really sure. Let's take another 5% crit chance since that's also adding to our... There's our slow moving projectile. We should probably just follow this. I mean, if we could fire multiple of these will stack up and we'll just melt everything endlessly. Oh, they're going different directions. Can we bounce it? We sort of could. Well, whatever. We're firing projectiles like that in all directions that are huge damage. I like how they just go off the screen, just go endlessly. They're probably destroying cities somewhere out there in the world right now. Okay, here comes our next health bar idiot. He's melting quickly though, thanks to all of our many different attacks. We'll hit him with some projectiles here and there as well. Things are getting a little more chaotic, but that's good. That means there's more enemies on the screen. Shoot an orbiting projectile regularly. There's a 4-second cooldown on that, but that's really only going to be about 1 second for us. It's actually going to be less than 1 second, so we've actually got a really fast fire rate on our orbitals. While we're at it, we're going to make the AoE AoE, 30% bigger still. So we're 390%. Now pretty much everything gets hit by everything. And we're starting to get hearts dropping really regularly. So we're already up to 307 damage. Now we don't have to go anywhere near the enemies to hurt them either. Hey, look at that, more cooldown. So we're currently at 22.5%, we're at 19%. We're less than 1/5 of the intended time for the cooldowns. I feel like that shows, because we are really launching a lot of this stuff off in a hurry. Chests always spawn with 3 hearts next to them. That's a big one, because that translates to, I think, 12 damage for us. Maybe 9, but we'll just call it 10. Every chest is going to be an additional 10 damage, which is considerable. There's another cooldown, 15%, so we're down to 16% cooldown. Wow, that really can get low. Yeah, the enemies are going to get endlessly stronger though, so we're definitely going to need to keep stacking upgrades still. But there's a chest, that means 3 hearts spawned, plus all of these. I think this is actually a good choice. Gain 40% crit chance, we'll no longer get crit upgrades. We don't really need any more, so they can get eliminated, and then we get more chance for better things anyway. Oh, there are so many hearts spawning too. Every time I move around, there's another heart waiting for me. We're up to 361 damage. And good news, more AoE, 430%. So we are scaring a lot of enemies off the map. I almost didn't see the health bar enemy. We're going to put our circle of things into him. You know what? Then we're just going to keep attacking. He's going to be dead anyway. Okay, this is what I was thinking earlier. This is going to be a risk, but this might pay off. Before you dash, take 1 damage, but permanently gain 5 damage. So we heal every time we dash, so that's going to come out even, but then every 12 we get an extra health. So this is risky, but we're going to do this. So now if I dash, we gain 5 damage, we dash again, we take 5 damage, we pick up the heart, we get 5 damage. So we're going to let all these run out. We're up to 425 base damage now. Cooldowns and abilities down more. We're at 14% of what they're supposed to be. They're going off so quick. I wonder if we can hit 0%, like if it just infinity spawns at that point. I'm really curious to see. Hopefully we get there. Gotta be careful not to take damage though, because it's gonna take a while. If we get 1 damage, we gotta work pretty hard to put it back on. Oh, this one also helps negate that. Whenever you take 2 damage in a row, heal for 3 health. So if we get hit once, we'll actually maybe just get hit again right away. That'll put the health back on. Then we live happily ever after. We've been getting really lucky with the synergies. There's almost 500 damage now. And these dashes are supposed to take 30 seconds to come back on. There's 1 already, there's 1.5 already. We'll take another 20% AoE size. It seems to just be growing exponentially at this point. Another series of dashes later, 550 damage, and that affects lightning and everything. So this guy should melt. We're going to put him in our ring of arrows and everything else. Yeah, he's melting quick. Emits an aura that periodically inflicts 30% of your damage to enemies in an area around you. Its cooldown is 0.5 seconds, so it's going off 10 times a second. Well over 10 times a second, actually. And as our damage goes up, so does that. So we have evaporation powers. Ooh, there's another 15% cooldown. So it's at almost 10% of its intended cooldown. This is really a perfect run. We got all the right upgrades along the way. I'm really satisfied with this. Oh good, here's a new boss. So yeah, the onion thing and everything's working. Wow, that thing melted. Permanently augments your damage by 20%. Projectiles are slower. We're not really using projectiles that much anymore. That raw damage we just need for like melting power. Was really hoping for more cooldowns here. We'll take AoE for another 20%. Pretty soon we're going to be like dissolving the enemies off of the screen as well. I keep forgetting I need to use up all my dashes too, because that's going to give us, well, we're up to 810 damage. It seemed a lot when we were at 500. Okay, here's another boss who's coming in. He's actually pretty quick. Not as quick as we are though, and he's melted. You also shoot behind you. Yeah, that'll come in handy for when I do feel like firing projectiles. That'll just add a little more out there for the chaos. This one's only 10% cooldown, but I'll take it. Now we are at 10.6% cooldown. We just need a few more of those. Our damage is getting so stupid. Like, look at that. Just constant flurry of numbers. I guess we'll take 5% damage for every pierce you have, because we have lots of pierces. So it'll take us from 945 to 1040 damage. We're over 1000 officially. Okay, we're going to take another 10% cooldown. We're officially below 10%. So our dash recharge is supposed to take 30 seconds. It takes less than 3. That means we can almost constantly dash. Yeah, it doesn't even like show the dash meter filling up properly. That guy died and we weren't even touching him. Every time we move 25 meters, shoot a poisonous grenade at the nearest enemy. It inflicts an AoE poison effect. It inflicts 25% of my damage on a 2-second cooldown. If the poison kills, it spreads to nearby enemies. So I have a feeling we're also going to be poisoning a lot of enemies. Because our AoE is big. So if they happen to kill an enemy, it's going to spread like wildfire. Here's another boss with a health bar. He's dead. I think I want this one. Gain 10% more experience from future and past coins. We picked up a lot of coins, so they'll hopefully level us, and that'll hopefully make our cooldown drop, so another 10%. Where you're at 8.6%. the game is also starting to lag pretty reasonably because there's just a lot going on. I hadn't really noticed either. I've just been dashing around like an idiot, but we're up to 1400 damage now. Make that 1414. And another 10% cooldown, 7.7%. Obviously it's diminishing returns, but we're headed for that low number. So that guy got melted. We're going to take in 1 bounce for every pierce you have, also gain 1 pierce. I'm pretty sure that affects a whole bunch of different things, so we just got a whole bunch of stronger. I'm not actually sure at this point if I can hit my goal before the game gives up. This demon is chasing me. He actually managed to do some damage to me, but if I take damage right now, right away, I think I'll get it right back. Emits an aura that slows enemies in an area around you. Okay. Oh yeah, there we go. There's the 2 damage in a row, so the health came back. And we can use up the rest of the damages and put more damage on ourselves. We're up to almost 2,000 now. I was hoping for a better cooldown upgrade than this, but we'll take 10%, 6.9%, which means we're just hitting so many times with all of our AoE effects. For each bounce you have, summon a tumbleweed that bounces off the screen's edge. It deals current damage to enemies it hits. Okay, more tumbleweeds and green stuff for us. The next health bar indeed has arrived, and he's dead even quicker. I'm going to take re-rolls for upgrade choices so we can hopefully just get the next 4 as cooldowns. Another health bar enemy melted. Your first piercing shot now targets the closest enemy, and we gain 1 pierce that we don't need. This is where the rerolls come in handy. There's no cooldown reduction. There is here. 10% down, 6.2%. So the dashes come back after only a few seconds at this point, which means I can basically constantly dash, which means I can constantly put damage on. Deals damage in an area around you after you dash. So when we dash now, we should land in a safe zone because we're going to destroy everything. Every time you move 20 meters, shoot a file towards the closest enemy. Enemies in the AoE around the target lose 50% of their HP and get smaller. 50% HP reduction for enemies is not going to help them. They are already melting in an instant. There's another health bar enemy who instantly melted yet again. Your projectiles leaving the screen now reappear on the other side. We lose some attack speed, but we're not really using our projectiles at all anyway. That's also going to cause quite a jam up because we have a lot of different projectiles doing weird things. There's 10% cooldown, 5.6%. So it's just over 1.5 seconds to recharge a dash, which is almost as fast as I can even use them really. Also a helpful one, gain 1 dash for every pierce you have. So we have that many dashes now, so we can dash that many more times to add even more damage for ourselves. I have no idea what our DPS is at this point, but it is absolutely ridiculous considering how many attacks we're giving off in my AoE areas. I'm going to take 4 rerolls for object choices. We could still potentially get some helpful ones there. Anything that could help for AoE or works on cooldowns would be pretty strong. So we didn't get anything there, so we're going to start using our rerolls. I guess we can take every time we move 2 meters, lightning strikes a random area, dealing 100% damage in a small area. So that's just even more massive AoE damage out there for the idiots to have to deal with. I guess the fun thing about having this big of AoE is we have, like, in theory, unlimited DPS because we can fit tons of enemies in there. We could be hitting like 1,000 enemies at once. Cooldown further 10%. So now we're at an even 5%. So our cooldown has been reduced by 95%. I guess we could take a 5% crit chance for each ready to use stack of dashes we have. I think we have 60 base, but once we get all of our, we'll easily have 100% crit chance, which means just a lot more damage and explosions. Deals damage in an area around you before you dash. Plus we gain another dash. So now we're doing damage before, during, and after dashes. Our damage is climbed up to 4,200 by the way, and that goes off like 1 billion times per second in the massive circle around me. Which is why enemies, no matter what they are, can get anywhere close to us. They just evaporate as soon as they touch our circle. I mean, this would be kind of funny. Summon a small flying demon. Each time your team collects 25 coins, when you stop moving, it shoots a giant laser beam, dealing 3 times my damage, which is obviously going to be a lot. So he's already ready to go, so we'll let him fire his laser off, and it's kind of insignificant compared to my damage. We don't have the cooldown reduction. Luckily we do have rerolls, and there it is, another 10%. That should take us down to 4.5, which is only 0.5, but that is still 10% of our remaining cooldown. We did get some banish choices. We just banished everything there, and if there's nothing here we want, we will also banish these. Although this is kind of funny. When you're out of dash, 20% move speed, 100% crit damage, 50% damage overall. We could be out of dashes for like a fleeting second. If we go like that, no dashes, extra damage. We can constantly be out of dashes, really. I'm going to banish all those and see what we're left with. When you get hit, there's a 30% chance that you dodge the damage. I really haven't been hit in a long time. Okay, when one of my dash slots is ready, create a burst that does 100% damage in an area around me. It also gives me 1 extra dash. So even if I just sit here now, we're going to do burst damage just when these things get done, which is every like 1 and a bit seconds. Oh, when I hold still, we really fill the screen up with projectiles. I think I'm also going to take this. Every 10 seconds, a totem appears on the screen. Staying in the zone for 10 seconds will heal you for 1 health. Oh, we don't want this. All your cooldown effects take 50% more time to trigger. No. that will absolutely bone this whole thing up. There's a 15% cooldown, so 4.5% becomes 3.9. There's less than 4% cooldown, so we're 1/20th faster. Or rather, it takes 1/20th of the time it's supposed to. So I'm just going to hold still for a little bit and let things pile up, because I really don't have to move anymore. 2 lenses rotate around you, your projectiles going through them get bigger and deal more damage. So that's what that looks like, in case you're wondering. The game's not loving what I'm doing. I wanted to go for a little walk, and like the hearts we're having trouble picking up even the hearts because the game just can't keep up. 15% cooldown reduction, 3.3%. So we're at 1/33rd of the time it's supposed to take. I just realized that we can gain an armor that protects you from one hit. Its cooldown is 60 seconds. That's actually 2 seconds for us. Literally 2 seconds, so we're borderline invincible. Plus 15% less cooldown, 2.8%. A long level up later, another 10% cooldown, 2.5%. So we're at 1/40th of what we should be for our cooldowns. So our onion thing that is doing 7700 damage is going off every 0.01 seconds. Well, according to my calculations, that's going off 100 times every 1.25 seconds, and that's doing 7700 damage currently. So that onion by itself on a single enemy is dealing 770,000 DPS, 770,000 damage per second on a single item, on a single enemy. If there was 10 of those enemies, that's 7.7 million. You get the idea. It is basically unlimited DPS. These levels are taking a long time, but level 60, another 10% cooldown reduction, 2.3%. Those are going to get harder and harder to cut down. Level 61, another cooldown. That should drop us down to 2... Actually, rounded down to 2%. So we've dropped our cooldowns by 98%. But I'm pretty sure at this point I'm already functionally invincible. I think by the time the enemies get strong enough, the game is going to quit. As much fun as it would be to sit here for the next 8 hours and try and drop it to 99%, I've got to get on to the next video. So I'm satisfied. Dopamine achieved.